All right, today we have one of our TNA Business Breakfast show in collaboration with the SABC, and Peter Ndora is in Klerksdorp. They're looking into restorative justice with this guest. It's a very good morning to you, Peter, and the team.
Palesa, thank you very much indeed, and welcome to everyone who's watching across South Africa and indeed across the continent if you're watching us on our satellite channel. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, today we're in Mahumapelo, northwest as other province, as other people might know this part of the world, and very specifically actually we're in Klerksdorp, and Joburtina Township is very close by and also not too far away from Kanana, and I'll tell you why we're in this part of the province in a short while. But as you just heard there from Palesa, we're actually looking at a very important subject, one that I think it's not peculiar to this province but the country in general, and I dare say across the continent. Now 2 years ago the 5th administration under the Premier Supra Mahumapelo came up with something called the RRR strategy, rebranding, repositioning and renewal, and under that there were 5 pillars that they wanted to focus on, and one of them, the one that we're looking at in particular today, is on reconciliation, healing and renewal. And I know that if you have been watching the media across the country over the past year or so, you'd have seen a lot of incidents that really put into question those issues. Are we a truly reconciled nation amongst our groupings? And it's not just black, white, colored, Indian, whatever you want to call it, even amongst black people, amongst communities, tribes, all of those issues we're going to explore and just find how do we move forward? How do we get to that point of reconciliation? How do we get to that point of healing? And what does it look like when we say that we're a healed nation? And then we'll continue to try and see what then is the process of renewal once we've been able to capture these two feelings. And to help us unpack those particular issues, it's my great pleasure to welcome the Premier of Mahumapelo, Premier Supra Mahumapelo. Thank you very much for joining us, and always a pleasure having you, and thank you for always welcoming us into this beautiful province.
Goeiemorgen, Peter. Good morning, and let me also take this opportunity to greet the viewers and the listeners at home.
Fantastic. And next to you we have the Police Commissioner of Mahumapelo, Lieutenant General Baile Motswenyane. Thank you very much for joining us. A lot of people may be wondering why we've got the police in the house today, but a lot of these issues can't happen without the police working together with the communities, and we'll unpack that with you, but welcome to you in the meantime.
Thank you very much, Peter, and viewers, Paulito, thank you.
And next to you we have Kgosi Victor Suping, who is actually the chairperson of the Premier's Advisory Committee on Reconciliation, Healing and Renewal, a traditional leader himself. Again, very important when we're dealing with community issues that the voice of our leaderships in our communities on the ground is heard and is seen to be leading. But also very importantly, as chairperson of this advisory committee, we look forward to hearing your thoughts. Kgosi, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Peter, and the viewers.
Fantastic. So, Premier, let me start with you. So, this RRR strategy, your 5th administration came into being, and one of those pillars is this RRR. Tell us a little bit about why you felt that this was a very important pillar for your RRR strategy.
Thank you very much, Peter. The journey we are pursuing in South Africa is the journey to create a united, democratic, non-racial, non-sexist and a prosperous society. That's the long term. Now to get there, the government of the day, the African National Congress government, came up with the National Development Plan. Now in the province, the National Development Plan is being implemented in the context of the rebranding, repositioning and renewal. Below the rebranding, repositioning and renewal strategy, we are anchoring it on 5 concretes, and those concretes are ACT, which is agriculture, culture and tourism. The second one is VTSD, which is villages, townships and small dorpies. The third is the one we are dealing with here today, RHR, which is reconciliation, healing and renewal. The fourth is Sitsokotsane, well-wind, and the fourth one is the Samwerk, Samtrag philosophy. Now, as far as the reconciliation and healing of our people is concerned, when you read the Constitution of South Africa, It says that we have a responsibility as a country to heal the divisions of our past. We have a responsibility to make sure that we build a South Africa that is based on democratic values, that is based on social justice and fundamental human rights. So that's what the Constitution says. But the Constitution doesn't say how in practical terms do you go about achieving this set of objectives and the values in the Constitution. So the province, we then decided that we must come up with reconciliation, healing, and renewal as part of the healing these divisions of the past, as part of making sure that we bring our people together. But it's not just about the past. Even in the present, there are many things which are going on in our society which are affecting our society. You know that we have a problem in Marikana, which we are dealing with, and we were there 2 weeks ago to try and bring together through the reconciliation, healing, and renewal the people of Marikana. And I must say it's unfortunate that as soon as we had left that event where it was well attended in Marikana, 3 days later we got the news that one person was murdered, and we want to congratulate the police for acting swiftly and arresting the suspects. Today, we are here in Matlosana municipality. Yesterday we were in Kanana township, where for many years that township has been ravaged by a phenomenon of gangsterism, where people's houses have been burned, where people have lost their lives, the circulation of drugs, people are restless in their homes. And I'm happy that the process that we started is bearing some fruits. Because yesterday in Kanana, we had the gangsters that are existing in that area coming together with the community and saying, no more again. What has been happening in Kanana is going to be happening going forward. And they've committed themselves to come together and work together with the community. The churches were there, the traditional leaders were there, the business was there, the local municipality and the district municipality was there, the police were there, and provincially. This is what we want to do ongoingly on a yearly basis for 365 days as part of a build-up throughout the year for the National Reconciliation Day on the 16th of December every year.
Wow. Okay, we'll unpack a lot of that and speak to some of those, I don't even want to call them gangsters, because I think once you've had a change of heart, you become citizens once again. Former gangsters, we'll talk to them. They're in this room now, and we'll have a chat to see how they've been able to change their heart and perhaps lessons for other parts of the country. Commissioner, I guess, unfortunately, because of the nature of your work, you see the worst of an unreconciled community, the worst of an unhealed community, and the worst of a community that's not healing at all. And I just wonder, some of the things that you've been grappling with and how much of a difference a program such as this has made on the work that you have to do.
Thanks, Peter. As you know, that our mandate as the police is to ensure that the communities are and feel safe. As the Premier has already alluded to the fact of the National Development Plan, which is that by 2030 we need to ensure that everybody is safe in the community. The women and children, they can work freely on the street without being victims of crime. So the program by the Premier, we grabbed it with both hands as the police to say that when we talk about renewal, when we talk about restorative justice, to say that where is the police? Because remember, we start first with the proactive approach, where we do visible policing, where we do stop and searches to ensure that crime is not committed. Should crime be committed, remember, crime now affects the human beings. It affects them economically too, to say that if it's committed, then we need to come with redressing of the wrongs, where we need to ensure that we give quality investigation, we ensure that the perpetrators are brought to book. As we know that we go with the slogan of back to basics towards a safer tomorrow. That's why we say that as the police, we are, what the Premier is saying, even during the Supra, we get the priorities from the Supra when the Premier was making his speech to say, gangsterism is a serious concern. And one of the highlights was the issue of the police station in Kanana, We know for a fact that the police in Canada was not in a good state of affairs, but what I want to say is that last month it went on advert for the tender, and the tender closed 6th December. I want to assure the community of Canada to say that come 2017, the construction will be on site, and you'll have a beautiful state-of-the-art police station.
All right, we certainly look forward to chatting. And you mentioned one important point, restorative justice, and I don't think a lot of people fully understand what that means, because we come from a culture often where punishment needs to be brutal, extreme, and immediate, whereas restorative justice looks to rehabilitation a lot, which speaks to a lot of this conversation that we're having. So I'd like to unpack that a little bit further with you. But Kgosi, you were given the task as chairperson of the advisory committee to run with this project. How challenging has it been, and what do you see as what needs to happen for communities to experience this reconciliation, renewal, and reconciliation?
Thank you, Peter. Let me, in the first place, start off by coming up with what the institution that I am part of really does to communities. I'm a head of a community as a traditional leader, and restorative justice is the key word when it comes to Kgosi, because this is a practice that over centuries has been the norm of every community's life under the leadership of a traditional leader. So when the Premier approached me to head this committee of RHR, I think he already had, if not smelled, but seen that or understood what Kgosi means. Restorative justice is nothing in our culture without, in fact, Kgosi is nothing without restorative justice. So I would call restorative justice a vehicle that leads to reconciliation, healing, and renewal. Throughout the life of the institution, what a Kgosi does is to make sure that two warring factions are brought together, and they are, in some instances, even counseled to come together. So when the Premier established this committee in 2014, that I think he made a very salient move which led to where we are today. I initially thought this was an easy task, but after realizing what it means to reconcile people, then it became a mammoth task. So what I can say is we got into the picture at the time, very crucial time of Marikana. And luckily, our first meeting with the Marikana community was a success, because people realized what it all means to come together, talk, and at the end, conclude what way to follow. So we have been very lucky and successful in addressing on an annual basis communities about reconciliation, healing, and renewal.
We're going to go to a break just now, but I just want you to just briefly explain to us what restorative justice is, so that we're all on the same page, that we're not guessing what restorative justice actually is.
If you understood Setswana, I would be saying to you in the first place, there is a party that would need redress. Two people differ, or they even fight, and they come to the Khosi's court. seeking redress. Why this institution has never had prisons and jails is that always it was a question of talking to people, for them to make amends, to agree with each other and reconcile. And at the end, in most instances, the Kgosi would even force, if not plead, these parties to shake hands as a form of declaring peace.
Okay, so it is moving beyond punishment, but finding a solution that brings both parties together. That is what restorative justice is.
That's it.
All right, fantastic. We're
In
going to take
fact, in a way, forcing two warring factions to make amends, reconcile, and make peace.
Okay, and in fact, I think our Constitution talks about that, and the judiciary is encouraged to mete out sentences with that in mind in rehabilitating the offender. But we will explore that as a subject as well as part of this RHR strategy that the province has been unpacking. You too can be part of that conversation. Hashtag TNA Biz Brief, that's TNA BIZ Brief, or at Morning Live SABC. We'll pick up your questions and your comments, as well as our audience that's here as well. And we've got a few very special guests that I'm going to introduce to you to help tell this story after this break. Stay with us.